Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Good morning to some. And my name is Lori Harris, and I'm your host today. I'm also managing partner of Harris Whitesell Consulting. Honored to be here today as the host of Maximize Excellence podcast. And I'm here today with a colleague and a peer in the marketplace. She is, I had the honor of meeting Mara as an Enterprising Woman 2024 award winner. And congratulations on that, Mara, by the way. and really honored to share her purpose and the dynamics of her career transformation, her personal drive and commitment to leading with excellence as a women entrepreneur in the U.S. and global beverage industry. And Mara Smith is the founder and CEO of Inspiro Tequila. And what I love about you, Mara, is you're a mom of three. That's your priority. And it's out there. It's public. You're a mom of three. That's kind of your initial focus. But you, not even but, and you are a former powerhouse attorney and a former powerhouse corporate strategy and business development leader. And you're also this, very talented, very aligned, very conscious, very playful, very transparent, very supportive, and very grateful entrepreneur leader. And as the female founder and CEO of your company, you're coming up on your 5th year, your anniversary of your 5th year, and that says a lot as an entrepreneur. So, and by the way, ladies and gentlemen, also I want to congratulate Mara. She just recently took first place in the EPG Brand Accelerator Pitch Competition at the Beverage Alcohol Retailers Conference. So, got that one too in there. Congratulations. Everybody welcome Mara. Mara, welcome.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, you just made my Monday. I feel like, can we just stop there? Because I'm not going to say anything that's going to sound as great about myself. So I appreciate that.
Right. When I was researching that, wow, what a wonderful way to talk about transformation, to talk about maximizing excellence. And with you in the industry, what I found inspiring about you, and again, meeting you through the Enterprising Women's Program and reading about you, I had to reach out and I had to say, hey, you know what? I really want to interview you because your journey, and you're not done yet, by the way, by any means, it looks like.
Yep.
The dynamics are powerful and inspiring. And I love the name of the brand because it also matches your desire, and preferences of personality. So tell everybody what Inspiro means. Inspiro, not Inspiro, but Inspiro. Tell them what that means.
Thank you. Yes. And I appreciate that because everything is really aligned and thought out with the brand. So I totally appreciate you recognize that, starting from the name. Inspiro is a Spanish word for inspired, and the company is named in honor of my inspirations, my grandmother and my mother. They are two women who gave me the confidence to believe that I could do anything, including enter into a really complicated and convoluted industry like the spirits industry. So I just think from a really young age, I just didn't see barriers and thought there was nothing that I couldn't do and accomplish if I kind of was determined and put in the hard work. So I will credit those two incredible women for making me feel that way.
So just brief out your story of how the company was born and your background, and why did you just decide just to start a tequila company?
Yeah, I ask myself that same question very often. So yes, as you mentioned in the introduction, I was a lawyer many years ago. So actually I studied accounting in undergrad, got my CPA, and went straight to law school. So I actually am just dangerous enough to understand a little bit as far as when it comes to all my accounting. But I went to law school And then I joined a large law firm after law school, and I practiced transactional law. Got amazing experience. You get thrown in the fire really quickly, and it was great. But I started thinking about starting a family, and I got married right after law school when I started working in the law firm. So this is like years down the road from that. And I was contemplating starting a family. And then I suddenly looked around. I guess I had like not noticed this before, but looked around. I'm like, oh, there are no female partners in my entire department. I had nobody to look to see how I could possibly manage large law firm life and having a family. And at that time, my option kind of was to go part time, which really meant working full time, just being paid part time, not getting the big sexy deals that I like to work on, um, and being off the partnership track. And I had like worked my butt off to like work my way up. And so that just, it didn't sound like a great path for me personally. And so I decided I was going to go to the business side, which is why I mentioned having, a business background. So I'm like, I'm not going to actually practice law anymore. I'm going to go into corporate, but I'm going to go on the business side of it. So I joined the McDonald's Corporation, their corporate strategy and business development group. And all this time, I've been like really myopically focused on like, okay, you do this, you go to accounting, then you go to law, then you law school, then you practice law, like really like linear focus. And this actually for the first time opened my eyes to like, oh, maybe entrepreneurship. And because we were like studying consumer trends and insights and ideating for the company, and just kind of like expanded my world. I started thinking about maybe I would open which not a great idea, but a, a franchise of an ice cream franchise, become a franchisee, and then thought, Chicago, like not the best locale for that. So, but it just my head started spinning with ideas and thinking about things. Again, nothing goes according to plan ever. I
Right.
became pregnant with my oldest that are twins, and I ended up on emergency bed rest. So my corporate career came to a screeching halt
Uh-huh.
very quickly. Um, I was on bed rest in the hospital for half time and at home for half time for 3.5 months. And then I had preemie twins. I made the decision at that point when I had these teeny little babies that I was going to stay home. So I just never went back, basically. I'm very fortunate that I had that option. I totally understand that many women do not have the luxury of making that choice, but I'm lucky that I did, and I decided to stay home. And then, as you'll see in my background there, had another, that's my little one, had another baby 9.5 years later. So I was out of the workforce for a really long time, over
Yeah.
16 years, but always knew that I was going to start my own company. Like that was just always in my back of my head. And I knew it was going to be in food or beverage. I am a super consumer. I love taste testing everything. If you saw my pantry, I like accumulate like, new products from every source. Um, so I knew it was gonna be food or beverage. I was thinking of ideas. I was like contemplating a lot of different ideas. And then it I just kept coming back to tequila. I had been a tequila drink for years. I kind of like, I think when I'm taste testing food, it's usually things that are gluten free and no dairy and cleaner and healthier. And so that's just part of my lifestyle, and so I started drinking tequila, kind of thinking of this as a better for you, adult beverage option, and, I started, like, researching different brands and taste testing. I have a very, stocked bar, but I, started researching and discovered that everything I was drinking contained additives. I did not know that tequila brands were using, like, sweeteners and coloring and glycerin, and I thought I was drinking something that was cleaner and it wasn't. So that's where I kind of started really doing a deep dive and trying to understand everything about the industry and the marketplace and how the production of tequila and how the spirits industry works in the United States, which is like super highly regulated and complex. And also understanding a consumer. Like I did not feel that I was being addressed directly, like that I was not the focus of spirits brands as a female consumer. So I started to really try and understand this consumer in particular. and learned that she actually, represents about half of tequila drinkers, and we know makes over 80% of the purchasing decisions. So it was kind of the convergence of wanting something additive free and also like just speaking in a really thoughtful and authentic manner to a consumer who is really important but generally overlooked in this industry.
Wow.
Mm,
Focused, niched, purposeful. And I wrote down earlier the word thoughtful. When I was thinking of you, you're
mm,
very purposeful, you're very intentional, you're very conscious
mm.
in your approach. And and I think that that's helped establish and differentiate your company. So what makes your company different?
Yes. So I say there's the company aspect and then there's the product
Mhm.
aspect.
Uh-huh.
So, and everything was done thoughtfully from how the company's built to also how the product is crafted. So, our product is differentiated because it's a clean, additive free tequila, where the vast majority of tequila brands use additives in their production process. So, sweeteners, so that when it tastes, you know, like vanilla extract or, you know, maple syrup, like that's not the natural taste of tequila. It's because they're adding things
Right.
um, to glycerin for mouthfeel. So, really wanting to craft something that is very approachable, easy to drink, has some sweeter tasting notes, but without using any additives. I feel like that was the first piece of this. So getting the product to be differentiated. Um, we actually rest our Blanco in barrels for a short time, which is unusual because Blancos generally don't go into barrels. Our Rosa Reposado is aged in rosé wine barrels, which is extremely unique because we're the first brand to do that. So it started with coming, with the liquid and also the bottle design, as we talked about before we got on, that I wanted a bottle that I would want to display on my own home bar and that was purposefully easy to hold and pour and slender in the middle. So everything about like just the presentation, how we market to this person, that everything's light and bright. And, you also mentioned how tequila's fun, right? And
It is.
fun. And we're not dark and moody and we don't use like scantily clad women and dark club scenes, like things that wouldn't resonate. So that was the like purposefulness of like how we developed the product and the messaging.
Uh-huh.
From a company standpoint, to me, I thought the only way to authentically address this consumer was to really, have like women on the team. Like women had to be part of every aspect of the company. So everyone from my master distiller in Mexico, who I picked, to be able to create our taste profiles, to our leadership. We are distilled, owned, and led by all women. Like I have an all women sales team. That's pretty unheard of in this industry, in spirits in general, and especially in tequila. So everyone from, you know, operations, just through and through. And it even goes further than that. We're a certified B Corp, which I think we'll, probably talk about, but that is also means that everything's also done very intentionally, right? We're social impact. We want to elevate other women in business. So it even goes down to like who we work with, who we partner with, who we collaborate with, who we choose as vendors, that we want diverse owned companies. So um at this point, it's so part of our, like, brand DNA that it's something I don't even think about as much anymore, but it
Mhm.
is very unusual.
And I couldn't agree more. I mean, even in our world of talent management, excellence comes from attraction of and align keeping that alignment authentic, as you were saying, and selection. That selection process of who you're going to align to because they share in those values, because there is alignment, and because of that, the results are exponential and they are in that state of maximizing excellence. I love this about you. Before we go on though, you talk about this being woman owned and women led and that you're focusing on supporting that initiative to develop these women, go back to the story of you and this wonderful, beautiful woman who is in Mexico that you partnered with to develop the product.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a great
So,
story.
yes. So I really wanted there to be a female master distiller to bring this to life. That
Yeah,
was important to me. Um, it just, as I mentioned before, like to speak to this consumer authentically, I just thought it should come from a whole team. Like there's often like this one female figurehead that's put out in front, and behind her are a bunch of middle-aged white industry exec men. And I just didn't want to feel like that. Like to me, authenticity, transparency is like everything.
yeah,
So when I wanted to have a female master distiller and basically bring my own chef into someone else's kitchen because I have a distillery, I read a book about the women in tequila, and it's a very small book, and was able to narrow down the kind of handful of female master distillers. And I came up and discovered Anna Maria Romero Mena, and she developed the aroma wheel in tequila, where she identified 600 aromas in tequila, where they come from the production process, and everything about her messaging, her being a former sommelier, like everything about it, um, just really spoke to me.
yeah,
I also thought getting the nose on it and getting the aroma right, especially for this consumer who I think has probably, higher olfactory senses than maybe a male consumer, um, was really important. So I found consultants down in Mexico. I started all this, and it was like right before COVID in February 2020. So I couldn't get to Mexico for production or to see distilleries or to meet her. So I found consultants down there who were able to get a hold of her and make the introduction. So yeah, I was really fortunate to have her on board and to create our taste profiles and to work with our distillery down there to you know craft it and send samples back and forth, and really just bring my vision to life of like what we were looking for. um so it kind of started from that, from the producing and creating the taste profiles all the way down the line. Our leadership team is, all women. So the woman who heads up our sales and marketing and manages all our agencies and our sales people on the ground is, another woman here in Chicago. So
it's just if it's impressive to me that there's a couple things that I feel about this with this conversation and having researched you and listening to you right now, and that is your commitment to taking full responsibility, your commitment to connecting to purpose, and your ability to align the right people for the right reasons at the right time in the state of uncertainty and adversity. And that is a great sign of great leaders. And the fact that you are in a mindset of continuously learning and and adapting and transforming and transitioning. And the ladies and gentlemen, the more and more you read about Mara and you watch some of her videos and you follow her on LinkedIn, you're going to see that state of being and becoming for her is powerful, and it's infused and supported throughout her company and with her partners as well. And this isn't about not being diverse, not being inclusive. This truly is about positioning this product in a state for success and for your ability to maximize excellence everywhere. And so I think for me, you and we've shared anyway through emails and such. You have two different expressions that you have
yeah.
that you align. And I think this kind of follows the conversation here. Talk about those because it kind of just
Yes.
flows. Yeah.
Right. And I mentioned those earlier, kind of how we're differentiated. But first, I want to say that I appreciate one, taking responsibility. And I
Yeah.
think as a founder,
Yeah.
that's essential. Like whatever, and especially whatever goes wrong. Like there could be something that happens in manufacturing or raw materials or anything. Like bottom line is, um, no matter what it is, I'm still responsible. I made that decision. I made that call. So I appreciate that. And I think pointing fingers and blame, like, doesn't work as the founder. Like, you make the ultimate decision. So I appreciate that. And I also appreciate seeing the constant learning. I like to say that I'm a learn it all, not a know it all. And I go in and every day I'm learning something new. And that's actually the really exciting part of the entrepreneurial journey, is because it's a huge learning curve and I'm learning something every day. And it could be something I never want to know about. I always tease that, like, I know more about SEO strategy than I ever want to know, and I don't want to know anymore. Um, but you know, it's a huge learning curve, and that, and going in and being open to feedback and guidance and new ideas, I think is really essential. Um, and it takes a certain level of like flexibility to be able to do that, and open mindedness. Um, as far as our expressions, we have two. So we have a blanco and a reposado. And people, who know tequila will probably know they're kind of the standard. Most people have either a blanco, reposado, maybe a añejo. Right now, we have a blanco and a reposado. Our blanco, it's a really easy to drink, sippable blanco tequila. It's not like a shooting tequila. You don't get tequila face when you take it, because it has very little bite on it. It is, easy to drink on the rocks, and a tequila soda and a ranch water, a light cocktail. We have tons of cocktail ideas on our website. Um, but it's just, you know, kind of like a silky smooth, some sweet notes of like vanilla caramel, some hints of mint and citrus. Most people try it and their initial feedback is like, oh, it's clean, or like tastes refreshing, clean. Um, and it's just very approachable. And then our reposado is, kind of feel like just this elegant tequila. It's because
Mm.
it's the first one aged in rosé wine barrels. This is like really beautiful rose gold hue. It's all natural. We don't use any coloring like some pink tequilas. It's just a very interesting, different expression of a reposado, because it's going into French oak barrels instead of American oak, which is traditionally what reposados go into. Um, and it's just, again, maybe like a little lighter for a reposado, because it's a little less aged than maybe some other reposados. So it's a pretty light one. That one is one that we generally just show like either neat on the rocks or maybe with a splash of soda. Like, we don't even usually mix with anything, because it's just so complex and has so much flavor and interest to it that we kind of don't want to like mask it in a cocktail.
Yeah. Share with individuals why the word expression is used to describe the type of.
Well, tequila is regulated. So tequila is regulated by the CRT in Mexico. So they regulate tequila, what you call tequila, 100% agave tequila versus just tequila, which can be a mixto. They regulate the different, right, expressions or types of tequila from blanco. Like, there are, I think, whatever it is, 5 recognized ones. And so it's just the terminology and the types in blanco. It's just a regulated term. It's like champagne has regulations of where it is, appellation of origin, what it has to be
Uh-huh,
called champagne. And
uh-huh.
tequila is the same, and they regulate it from um what the different types or expressions are and what you can call them based on the aging process. So a blanco is generally unaged. We rest ours in barrels for a short time. It could be rested up to 59 days. And then a reposado is aged 2 months to 12 months. So, and that is just all like regulated by the governing body in Mexico.
For me, I love the word expression. In talent management, that word expression connects to feelings, which connects to emotion, which connects to energy. So I associate it, and which ultimately gives me experience with this product. And I love that their industry understood that from ancient years ago when tequila was being, and that in the regulatory process they use this term, because when you think about it scientifically, expression is truly based on my experience of this situation or that item, that product. And it does give me feelings, and it does create an emotion and an energy within me. And and again, I commend you for being incredibly thoughtful about your design, about your processes, and the ultimate outcome of the product. Again, high level of excellence in staying authentic and true to what do you bring out of the ground, right?
Right.
And you really
Well, I
do.
think for me, it was kind of like, I don't think I'm a natural born like salesperson. So the only way I could actually go out and sell something is like I have to really believe in it. And for me, like
Yeah.
I'm just pretty meticulous about everything and how I like things done. So, you know, I just would never be satisfied with something that was kind of like mediocre.
Yeah. Yeah, I just it's fascinating to me. And again, this alignment of authenticity, natural, and and associating it to the name, being inspired by something and not thinking that it's dark and gloomy or dark and woodsy and none of
Right.
that. It's bright, it's light, it's refreshing, it's elegant. And why not for the female? That excites me tremendously. All right, so there's more to you and there's more to this company. And I want to talk about how you also are very caring. You're very deeply thoughtful and you're a keeper of people and humanity. And behind that is your intention of becoming a certified B Corp, as well as bringing in this beautiful concept of Purple Bicycle Project. So those are two things I definitely want you to expound on because it builds out. It's exponential to your company and your product, your people that you've got. So talk about that.
Thank you. Yes. So the Purple Bicycle Project was kind of just like a name that we gave to this, like what we thought of as our initiative to like always be supporting other female founders. So like we I think like before we even sold a bottle of tequila back in like fall of 2021, we sponsored like a pitch competition for women. Female founders are pitching. I actually happen to love pitch competitions. I participate in a lot of pitch competitions. I like watching pitch competitions. Um, and then we started to provide a grant through the Enthuse Foundation every year. So this is our third year doing it to another founder. I love it because I read all of the qualifying grant submissions. Then I narrow it down. I do interviews with the different applicants, and then choose a recipient to receive our Community Connections grant. And it's very purposeful. That was a Community Connections grant because I have found building a community and having other women as part of my community, female founders and leaders who are supportive, like so essential. Joining certain organizations and women's groups and trade networks. And I wanted another woman to have that opportunity as well. And more significantly, I also wanted to be able to like guide her on that journey to finding the right ones. Cause I I've joined a lot and found some are helpful and some are not. And when you want to be really careful about every dollar, like streamlining that process is great. So I actually now, for the last 3 years for this grant, I mentor the grant recipient. Um, so that's really fun for me. I learn a ton. And we were doing that before, but then last year, last August, we became a certified B Corp. And I just think it was formalizing our commitment. So we were already doing all these things, but this just requires like a formalized commitment um, to make sure that what we do, that our actions really reflect what we say we're going to do. So there's transparency. We have to like document and track it. And I think that's why we became a B Corp, just because
Yeah.
it really requires you it like another level of like requiring you to actually, if you say you're elevating women in business, that you're actually like making sure you're tracking that and doing that. So we're a social impact company now. Um, and people sometimes ask about like, well, how does it help and what does that do for business? And like, I don't actually know how if it's helpful. I think consumers want to spend more aligned with their values, but I don't know from a business sense. I look at it more of like it just is so aligned with our brand ethos. And I wanted a formalized process put in place, which is why I did that and became a B Corp,
I
which is
love
an arduous process.
Yeah, and if I may, ethos is only enabled through virtue, and virtue is only enabled through those values. Powerful. So even if you're not as intentional thinking about it, the mere fact that you live it, that you infuse it, that you uphold it, and you express it constantly in all your materials and all your content that's out there, it shows and it's evident. And and your ethics are superior. Yeah. And very impressive. So I want to just
Thank
commend
you.
you again. Yeah, I'm going to continue to pump you up and lift you up here
I
intentionally.
appreciate that. That's everyone can use that in the morning because on Monday morning, when I leave soon to go to the airport with two of my children, they're not going to probably be pumping me up. They're going to, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, exactly. Because come on, mom.
Totally.
Right? It's all, it's their world that you live
Mhm.
in. I get it. All right. Tell me then, in this entrepreneurial journey, what are some of these challenges and surprises that you've had? Talk about those.
Yes. So the funny thing is, when people ask me often, like, what obstacle or challenge, I'm like, do you mean today? Because there is something every single day.
Uh-huh.
Um, right. So, one, the biggest challenge is figuring out how to change your mindset
Mm.
so that you can manage that and just problem solve without getting, I always say, like, not to get too elated with like highs and things go well, or too deflated with things that go wrong. So how do you just like manage and figure it out? But I'd say from like a really practical standpoint is something that I just did not appreciate. I think I thought, okay, you figure out your raw materials, you get your production process in line, and like then it just like, you know, goes like easy, just rinse and repeat. Operations and logistics are extremely challenging and very time consuming. And I don't think I had really appreciated that and how how much time it would be, and that every single time, and there's always something. It can be the most simplistic product, and when it's a product, there are still just a lot of operations and issues and things like that that you're constantly trying to like figure out. If it could be like even freight quotes, anything like you just don't realize just how time consuming, or you send out ship out and like 2 out of the 100 cases are broken. I mean, just all the time when you have a product, there's something that you're kind of, dealing with and trying to problem solve every day.
Absolutely. And mindset matters. That conscious mindset of being committed and focused and willing and and enthused. How do you keep that motivation level up and apply your strengths and at the same time continue to develop yourself? That is a challenge. And by the way, do it in uncertainty, in times of uncertainty and rapid change. And we all know about that. We're living and feeling that to the extreme. So there are lots out there that can relate to you in that. Again, I'm going to lift you up. I'm going to do this. It is my intention today for you to walk out and go, yeah, I feel good. Be highly energized. Again, I think because you are very intentional and methodical about this. And I read somewhere where you mentioned another interview where you talked about how analytical you are and how intentional you are. And I think you use the word you're perfectionistic about it.
Mm,
And we always take caution with the word perfectionistic because it brings suffering. So what we do in my world is we help with this mindset and knowing that it's within you, that you've got these strengths and that you can delegate because you're hiring the right people. And again, it all comes back to alignment and having the right talent and knowing where you're able to support and also delegate and gain support. And you wouldn't have gotten to where you are if you weren't thoughtful about that, mindful about that, intentional about that. So I'm going to commend you again, even though it's going to continue probably to be your top challenge. I believe at the same time, it's probably one of your top strengths. And
thank
you
you.
do it well, my friend, you do it very well. So I
Thank
commend
you.
there. Yeah.
I'm starting to go with done is better than perfect. So I'm starting to like accept that
Yeah, and
I'm
not
not perfect.
necessarily done because sometimes it may be done now, but 2 days later, you gotta reopen it back up and work on it again. Accepting where you're at for present state and knowing that it's gonna improve over time, whatever that may be. Yeah, powerful, very, very powerful. And again, because you talked about having an open mind, curiosity plays out for you. And again, I've read this over and over and over again and watched it in a lot of your interviews. And I'm just going to continue. Just going to blow your mind today and lift you up because I'm seeing that in you in all of your dialogue and discussions and your content. So keep up the good work, girl. You're doing a great job. Woohoo. What advice would you give to someone else starting a new venture and being a quick study for entrepreneurship?
So I always give two pieces of advice,
Yeah,
really. One is that there's no getting around the hard work
yeah,
and do the due diligence, do the research, like dive in, like learn everything you can. Um, I like that you mentioned curiosity because I think you have to be intellectually curious and want
mhm,
to learn. And um, I also think no matter how much research and what you do to prepare yourself, you really need other people to rely on. So I would say building a community, right? I came back into the workforce and I had no like business network.
yeah,
So I had to make sure to like create one. I had to go online. That's why LinkedIn or things like that. I found ways and I would reach out to people and reach out to them thoughtfully, like having done research. Like I love that you looked at my former podcast and you read about me and everything. So when I would reach out, I found people are generally receptive when you come in with a really thoughtful approach.
right.
And okay, I heard you on this interview. I really appreciate that you talked about this. I'd love some guidance, or I'll reach out like I to founders. I love your new website design. Would you mind sharing who designed your website? So finding resources, joining networks, women's organizations, consumer product groups within the spirits industry. So really just building a community across like many different um, types of like industries. And I think that's essential because bottom line is it's a really lonely journey and you have to feel like, today you're my like pump up woman who's like in between. But you often need that or someone who you can even go to and ask a question to and seek guidance. And I hope I can be that for some other women as well because I'm so appreciative. And and I also think even if someone's further ahead in the journey, there's still something you can offer. There's
Yeah,
still, I can still hopefully make a connection or realize like, oh, this person you may want to meet, or they're in the same industry, or you know, and I think it's all those little things that you can do that
mhm.
actually can add up and make an impact. So it's making that referral, connecting someone, um, and giving some feedback. I mean, I like little things like I'll find, a typo on something someone sent out or on their website, and I'll reach out and say, you might want to know this. I would want to know it. So, um, but that's kind of what I think it is. It's really like preparedness and then building community around you.
And I'm gonna add this, you're great at feed forward, and if you don't know what feed forward is, I'll send you a little one sheet on feedback
Ooh,
and forward, and there's a difference. So, you do it well, and you probably don't it sounds like you don't even know what it is.
no,
You
I
do it
want to
well.
know what that is.
For instance, just the mere fact that you said if you found a typo, you wouldn't hesitate to reach out and say, "Hey, you know what? It would drive me crazy if I had this. So I want to share with you that you got a typo." That's feed forward. That gives someone the ability to change, to transform, to make improvement. And you do it with care, with keeping, with love, with peace, with joy, and you do it without expectation of anything coming back to you. That's feed forward. because you
Yes,
care.
well, I
Great.
like that. I learned something
Yeah,
now new today.
right?
I told you every day.
Yeah, and I'll make sure I send you that.
Thank you.
Anyway, and you'll get the formal part of that. But I do want to find out from you because you've talked about your company, you've talked about your brand equity, you've talked about your drive and your purpose, your mission, vision, values, as we would call company philosophies. You've talked about the people and how important the role they play. You've talked a lot about, very specifically about product development and why that matters in your own way. I want to know personally, what's your favorite drink?
I love that. That's an easy one.
Yeah.
I I generally only drink tequila and soda. We talked
Ah,
about the fact that we have great recipes on my website, which is
uh-huh.
fantastic. People craft amazing cocktails. I am super simple. The reason I wanted tequila that was very easy to drink, is because I like to only drink tequila on the rocks with a splash of soda. I I'm too lazy to even cut a lime. I don't add anything. That's how, and the reason I like it on the rocks, I mean, I would say, the true aficionados, they like to have a neat. I just happen to like cold drinks. My mug that looks like it's hot drink is actually through a straw with ice in it. I like all cold drinks, so I drink it on the rocks and splash soda because I like a little bit of a fizz in my drink. So
Yeah.
that's how
Just
I drink it.
simple. Simple, and I
Totally.
think and I think that very much aligns. I'm gonna continue to use that word. It matches your preferences, your personality, your styles. Yeah. And I will say this,
Mhm.
ladies and gentlemen, as you go visit this website to look up these great recipes that she's got out there, by the way, there's lots of them. So give yourself 15, 30 minutes to explore because there's lots of really good ones. I've tried a couple, they're really
Thank
good, and make sure you order yourself a couple bottles to play with these recipes as well. So I'm going to give you a little pitch there.
you.
But I will say this: the simplicity of this, the elegance of this, the refreshment of this is what is needed in the marketplace today with adult beverages. And so I couldn't commend you more for doing that. The success that's coming your way, if and it already has, is exponential as you stay in this mindset, as you stay in this space of grace and this growth and continuous learning. And you're only going to take it to places you've never known. And that's what's going to be very exciting for you. I wish you the best in that journey. I'm looking forward to staying in touch with you over time and continuing to support you in that growth in any way we can, even if it's just once in a while going, you go, girl, being your biggest cheerleader. I want you to share with people, though, beyond your website and being able to see your
Yeah.
product and see the company, what are some ways they can connect with you?
Yes. Well, as we mentioned many times on this, and we're, doing this live on LinkedIn. LinkedIn's probably my favorite platform. That's where I'm the most active.
Yeah.
Like that's where I can find my voice best and interact and engage with people. So definitely reach out and connect with me on LinkedIn, Mara Smith. And I do answer all messages that get sent to me because I mentioned before how I'm so grateful that when I reach out, people are usually receptive, and I do the same, want to do the same thing. Um, so LinkedIn for sure, on Instagram, at Inspiro Tequila, you'll see even a lot more of our recipes and how to make them, and just engage with our content there. And on TikTok, I'm personally not like a great TikTok person, but we have a great TikTok page for Inspiro Tequila. We we mentioned this before our we started filming, but that, picking your channels, and for me, I had to like narrow it down. There's just so much I could learn. I knew nothing about any, social media or marketing before. So
Uh-huh.
I went with LinkedIn and Instagram personally, but luckily I have a great team who helps support and that I did delegate to, as far as for TikTok.
I love it. I will make sure that on this event, we will add all your links as
Thank you.
well to the comments, definitely, because we do have ongoing. This stays recorded and it's available on LinkedIn and YouTube. And so people can look at it 2 months from now, 5 months from now, a year from now. And that happens with our recordings, with these live recordings. So I'm excited that it's like a coffee table book. It lives on for as long as we keep it out there to the public. So happy to add those. Are there any last words that you would like to share with the audience about maximizing excellence and you personally in how you do that?
Yes, I'd say, just always stick to your own standards with that. So when I think about maximizing excellence, I think about like I have standards, and no matter, we talked about being open to feedback and I want people's suggestions and ideas, but no matter what, I always have to like stick with what really feels right to me. And there are certain standards so that I won't deviate on if it's falling in line with our values or mission or things like that. And it's easy to hear a lot of voices and maybe be swayed, but I think that's
Mhm.
the crux of like for me, maximizing value is really always maintaining your standards and what feels right to you. And you're constantly faced with decisions that you have to make, and I'm never going to like waver on that. And
Good.
the other thing that my message is that it's like really never too late though to make an impact. And I think I hope I'm an example of someone who started something a little bit later in life, and I don't think it's ever too late to pivot in a career or start something new. Um, and I think especially moms who want to come back into the workforce, there's a lot of like untapped talent there. And I encourage everyone to kind of like, you know, find what they're interested in, find what they want to do, and not think that they are not qualified or capable of doing it.
I love it. I love it. Thank you, Mara. This has
Thank
been
you.
wonderful to hold this dialogue in this space with you today. I've enjoyed it. I've learned a lot more about you, and I truly, truly am grateful. And I want to say this. I meant every word when I said I was lifting you up. I wish you nothing but prosperity in health, wellness, in your company, in its success, and for the people that work for you and your clients, your customers out there in the marketplace, to enjoy responsibly this great product that you're putting in the marketplace. And as an entrepreneur, I see you going into great places. And so definitely we'll stay in tune and stay in touch. To my audience that's out there, you will regret if you do not connect, is all I'm going to say. She is a powerhouse, as I said in the very beginning when I was describing her in all types of ways, but she is the type of female leaders that we need in this world right now. And again, Mara, thank you. Thank you for coming on to Maximize Excellence with Harris Whitesell Consulting. And we'll catch up with you soon. How's that?
Thank you for having me. I so appreciate it. You totally made my day.
Oh, awesome. We'll talk soon. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Maximize Excellence. Visit our events page on our website for details on upcoming podcasts, and visit our YouTube channel to listen to past episodes. And remember to ask yourself at the end of each day, did I do my best to maximize excellence today?